Zach. 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 I gotta have these on. I gotta have these on. They said they still had some parts and they still hot, so you get this. That's why, yeah. Ain't nobody refusing to get no clippers back now. I'm just saying why I gotta still have the handcuffs on.
I thought they knocked you out your skin.
I'm asking why I gotta still have the handcuffs on.
Yeah.
If they was shit,
I need water. You want me to get in water or you got it?
Got it?
Okay.
I'm right back.
I'm out. Just don't, you know, I want to thank you. I
have handcuffs on.
know, but I can't do that. That's not, they usually it's back there, but.
Oh boy. Well, I don't know, we're gonna take the license off my people. I'm on the thing with full board.
I know what you're doing up here.
Good morning.
All right, good morning. Committee on Parole's call to order. Today is Thursday, October 24th, 2024. It's 8:52 a.m. My name is Cheryl Renatza, serving as chairman of the panel today. My colleagues on the panel seated to my left, Mr. Chucky Dillis, to my right is Mr. Danny Byron. Our first remote location this morning is at Tangipahoa Parish Jail. We are seated at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. And I'd like to have our staff, please introduce yourself for the record.
Jerome Thompson.
Sherelle Baker.
Thank you. And we have Mr. Baker, is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any officer in the room with you or are you by yourself?
I'm by myself.
Okay, so we're here for a revocation decision this morning. Did they leave any paperwork there with you? You got any paperwork with you?
Yes, ma'am. I left it in the dorm.
Okay, we're gonna put up a form on the screen that you'll be able to see. It's a parole revocation questionnaire that you signed, and we want to be sure and verify that that's your signature on that paper. So just, it's coming up. You see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that your signature dated September 24, 2024 at the bottom?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, based on the information you provided during that questionnaire, you're not eligible for appointed counsel. So are you ready to proceed with your revocation hearing this morning?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'll read the allegations against you, after which you'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. And then your case has been assigned to Mr. Tillis, seated to my left. So once we get your pleas entered, asking you some questions, you can provide any statement you like to him, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So well, give us your name, DOC number.
Clyde Baker, 397205.
Is it Clyde Williams Baker?
It's Clyde Wilson Baker. Williams was my maiden name. My last name was changed.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna call you Mr. Clyde Baker.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Baker, you're accused of violating the conditions of your parole. Condition number 13, and there's two parts. The first one is we're going to call it 13A. You were found by probation and parole agents to be at 1215 Smith Square in Hammond, which is within 1,000 feet of Mooney Park, the Regina Child Development Center, Hammond Head Start, Elias Early Learning Center, and Hammond Junior High. How do you plead to violating that condition number 13?
Guilty.
And we're going to take your statement in just a second. The second part of that is you were found in contact with 2 juvenile females by probation and parole agents on September 12th, 2024. How do you plead to that violation?
Not guilty.
Guilty? Okay. Would you answer Mr. Tillis' questions, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Baker, how are you doing this morning?
I'm fine. How are you?
All right, I read your case. Tell me what happened. You were getting your hair cut or?
I just went over there to get my hair done for a job I had just got hired at. My hair is just like it is now. When they came arresting me, and Mr. Kennedy had called the phone, asked for me. He said that he was doing his routine check on his people, and he was checking on me. And I had let him know that I had just went over there to get my hair braided before I started the job that I had just got hired at. And he said, "Congratulations." And he had asked me where I was, and I told him I was at Smith Square. And then he said, "Okay." And then he asked me how I was, and I said I was all right. You know what I'm saying? He told me congratulations about the job and stuff. So a couple minutes later, he called back and asked what was the address. And that's when he just had pop up there, you know what I'm saying? And I was just going inside when he came there, you know what I'm saying? I was outside when he called, and Ms. Irma had brought me the phone. So when he came, he looked around. When he knocked on the door, Ms. Irma was on the way out the door because I had informed her of that if he was to come there, that I may get arrested because I ain't supposed to be around other kids. And she was like, "Well, she said I was going to bring them by someone's house while she do my hair so I can go to work." And on the process of her going out the door, he was knocking on the door coming in. So when she opened the door, she met him at the door, and he stepped in. He asked for me, and I was on my way to the door to him. You know what I'm saying? They asked me to step outside. That's when they arrested me.
That's just what I read. Did you know you were not supposed to be around or within I think 1,000 feet of
Yeah, yes, sir. But it wasn't my intention to hang there. I just went there to get my hair done because that was the closest place I can get my hair done at the moment. And I wasn't planning on just being around there because I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. I just went there to get my hair done for that moment.
I see. So you knew you weren't supposed to be there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have no more questions.
I have no questions.
All right. Anything else you want to say to us, Mr. Baker, before we go?
I was just asking that y'all, you know what I'm saying, be lenient with me, you know what I'm saying, for it being my first time, you know what I'm saying, and give me another chance to get out there and get myself together. Due to it being so soon, I was at home in a good 2 weeks, you know what I'm saying, and I was trying to equip myself to go through with my parole, the few months I had left on there.
Okay, we do have someone here. I'm sorry that your cousin is here with us. Irma Gales, I guess that's whose house you were at.
Yes, ma'am.
She wants to say a few words. Ms. Gales, are you on the line with us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead and tell us what you'd like us to know.
I would like for you guys to know that he was working on himself. He had got a job and I was trying to help him. So I feel like that he were trying to better his situation. And I would like to ask for a second chance also.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you being.
How long had you been out?
Not even 2 weeks, like probably 11 days, 11 to 12 days.
About the job,
I,
lost.
yeah, well, when they was arresting me, the boss man was calling my phone at the time, you know what I'm saying, telling because I was supposed to be there for 3:30. He was calling to tell me to come in at 3 o'clock. And I was letting him know that I had a technical difficulty at the time, you know what I'm saying. I don't know if he was upset by it being my first day and I was having an excuse not to come because I didn't tell him I was being arrested.
But you don't think you get your job back?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because I had worked there once before, you know what I'm saying, a couple years back. And he told me once I got myself together and took care of my problems, you know what I'm saying, that, you know what I'm saying, he would like to hire me back.
So did your officer call Miss Irma's phone number?
Yes, ma'am, because that's when I got out, she wanted me to go do my intake. And that's the only, because I didn't have a phone at the moment. But when I did get my phone, I did call him with my number, but he said he must have misplaced it.
All right. Is the panel prepared to?
Yeah.
I have one more
Oh,
question.
okay.
I see that you're a fourth offender. Have you been through probation and parole revocation process before? How did you finish your other terms of supervision?
I did my time flat, and this what I didn't understand. But they was trying to explain to me that the charge that they supervising me on, this charge is 26 years old. I'm not on parole for the criminality of a juvenile. I
You on
don't 6 years ago. I did my time flat then. I didn't. I never have been on parole.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's the only choice. What about what he pled guilty to before? You know, it's real bad, Mr. Williams. And been out 11 days. My vote's gonna be not to revoke.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to vote to revoke. I mean, the rules are very clear and you knew what the rules were. You just went ahead and violated them. I mean, so it's plain and simple.
To Mr. Baker, will vote to vote because you admitted to us today that you knew you wasn't supposed to be there. So you received one favorable vote, 2 votes to revoke your parole. So today your parole is being revoked. That concludes our business there. We'll sign off at 9:01 a.m. from Tangipahoa Parish Jail. All right, good morning. The Committee on Parole is reconvening. We're now at Ouachita Parish Correctional Center. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anybody in the room there with you? Any staff?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we'd like to have the staff there introduce themselves for the record.
Good morning, it's Deputy Marchand.
Good morning, Deputy Marchand. Thanks once again for accommodating us this morning. And we have before us Mr. Hobbs.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you introduce yourself, sir? Tell us your name and DOC number.
William David Hobbs, 179339.
Yes, sir, Mr. Hobbs. That's what I have. Let me introduce the parole panel to you. I'm Cheryl Renatza. Seated to my left is Mr. Chucky Tillis. To my right is Mr. Danny Byron. We're here for a revocation decision this morning. Do you have a revocation questionnaire there in front of you?
Yes, ma'am.
That's your signature at the bottom of that page.
Yes, ma'am.
And based on the information, your answers to those questions, it was determined at that time you're not eligible for appointed counsel. Are you ready to proceed this morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. I'm going to read the allegations against you. You'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Tillis because your case has been assigned to him.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 2, and it states you failed to report to your officer since April of 2020. Your whereabouts were unknown until your arrest on October 16, 2020. After your arrest on October 16, 2020, you absconded supervision again and your whereabouts were unknown until your arrest December 7, 2021. How do you plead to violating condition number 2?
Well, ma'am, I'm guilty of that.
Okay, so your response, you can vote, plead guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Guilty with a statement?
Yes, ma'am.
So we'll take your statement in a moment.
Okay.
Finish with the pleas first. Then we have condition number 4, and it states October 16, 2020. You committed the offense of driving while intoxicated, third offense. It was determined that your blood alcohol content was 0.13, which is over the legal limit. On August 23rd, 2024, the charge was dismissed. How do you plead to violating number 4?
Well, I
Guilty?
was guilty.
Okay, with a statement?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you answer Mr. Tillis's questions, please?
Hi, morning. How are you, Mr. Williams?
All right, sir. How you?
Good. Would you elaborate on the first one? What happened? Why weren't you me hooking up with your parole officer? What was the problem?
Well, sir, I did do that until this happened. I knew I would be the scapegoat of this. I reported till October that this happened. The other man jumped out of that truck and run. I have all kind of lies against me and have one right here to prove it. But I knew that would be pinned on me. And I kept paying y'all, hoping one day I would run into the guy that was actually driving that truck. And I did, and I had the toughest DA here in town. And if I was guilty of all that, she would have never dismissed that charge. But I did abscond because I was scared. I'm not going to lie to you at all. But I'd have to go back. Now I'm in end-stage COPD, sir. I'm just asking to go home and be on hospice with a monitor. And I won't ever give any trouble again. That's all I'm asking for.
Okay. What about the charges of driving intoxicated?
Yes, sir. I was charged with that. It was dismissed. When the man come forward with his affidavit.
So you were not.
No, sir. I was in the passenger seat of that truck. That store clerk, we had a heated argument about 2 or 3 months earlier. And he relied on me profusely. I wasn't in any woods. They said I escaped the hospital, and here's my discharge papers and everything. But I did run, sir. I'm guilty of that.
Okay.
Like I say, Miss Shirley M. Wilson Davis would have never dropped that charge if I'd have been guilty. There's no way I would have went to trial on that. She's one of the strictest DAs here in Ouachita Parish.
I see.
Just let me go. I'll go catch up on these fees and get on a monitor. And sir, I'm really in bad shape. My whole bone from disease is done swole out here. I'd be glad to wear a monitor. I'm 61, weigh 125 pounds. I'll just go home and die if you would be so gracious just to let me do that. But I am guilty of being charged with all that. I really am. I'm just asking for one chance. I've seen other people here get 2 chances. I just want one to die with my family, sir. That's all. It would really be defeating your purpose to send me there for 5 years when in a smoke-filled environment. I'm not going to live that long. That's why I'm in end stage right here, and Miss Donna Norman that works here can verify that I'm in a bad way. Like I said, I am guilty. Just one chance for that monitor, and you'll never hear a peep out of me, sir. I just want to die at home. That's all. If I wasn't in such a bad shape, I wouldn't be begging you, sir. But my family's got $10,000 attorney fees. He lives right here on the south side of town, and I need to give that back, sir. Please. And you wouldn't only be helping me, you'd be helping my family.
I see.
I'm not going to give any trouble.
Mr. Barra,
You're currently on supervision for DWI, fourth offense. And then you're driving or allegedly driving after that,
Yes, sir. I shouldn't have been drinking.
and you still want us to give you a chance?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no question. More.
you mentioned you want a second chance, but Mr. Hobbs, you're classified as a 7th felony offender.
Yes, ma'am. I'm talking about the second chance on parole. Well, ma'am, I don't want to be smart or anything with you, but Melvin Tipton and Jack Robinson have been here since I've been in here. They got 2 chances to be released back out of parole violations.
You're,
What I mean by the
now
second
listen,
chance.
I don't want to talk about anybody else but William
That's right.
Hobbs. No?
Okay,
How long you been in jail?
3 years.
Anything else you want to say?
No, ma'am.
Very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we're going to be voting now, Mr. Hobbs. Mr. Tillis will be voting first.
My vote is to revoke. You said you pled guilty to these charges, and my vote's gonna be to revoke.
Mr. Bowman.
I vote also to revoke.
It's unfortunate, Mr. Hobbs. I do agree with my colleagues. My vote today is to revoke your parole.
Do y'all drink? You don't mind when I get out, I'll come have a big old drink with you.
We're that concludes our business in Washington. Sign
I'll
off.
get out. What
Turn
should I tell
17.
you? All right. Scumbags.
was all up in our little window.
All right, Committee on Parole is reconvening. We're now at St. Landry Parish Jail. Is there any staff in the room with you, Mr. Jones? There we go. Yes, we'd like the officer, please introduce yourself for the record.
Yes, ma'am. Deputy Gettings with St. Landry.
All right, thanks for helping us out this morning.
Yes, ma'am.
We have Mr. Jones. Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
I'm TREVON Jones. I don't know my DOC number.
All right, well, hold on. Let's see.
780-962.
See his,
780962.
It's 780-962.
all right, good. She gave it to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. That's what we have. Do you have let me introduce us to you. My name is Cheryl Renatza. This is Mr. Chucky Tillis, Mr. Danny BYRD. We are your parole panel this morning. We're here for a revocation decision. Do you have your parole revocation questionnaire there with you?
Question. Where?
We're gonna put it up on the screen. Just stand by. We're gonna put it up for you.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to confirm that you signed that piece of paper. All right, you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that your signature down at the bottom of that page, September of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Based on the information in that questionnaire, it was determined at that time you're not eligible for appointing counsel. So are you ready to proceed today?
Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna be able to speak on my behalf.
Yes. I'll tell you how it's gonna work. I'm gonna read the allegations against you. You'll enter a plea of guilty with a statement, or not guilty. And then Mr. Tillis will be asking you some questions, and at the end, you'll be allowed to make a statement if you'd like.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're accused of violating your conditions of parole, specifically condition number 3. It says you failed to get the permission of your parole officer prior to moving from your listed address 1440 Ann Street in Eunice. How do you plead to violating condition number 3?
All right, I'm guilty.
We have condition number 5, and it reads, you were involved in criminal activity on or about December 15, 2023 by having a possession of a firearm that you subsequently gave to another subject that committed a murder with that said firearm. August 29, 2024, the grand jury returned a no true bill, and therefore the state moved to dismiss the charge on St. Landry docket 2400269, at which point the court ordered that the charges be dismissed. So how do you plead to violating condition number 5?
Not guilty.
We have condition number 10, and it says you failed to provide proof that you gained or attempted to gain employment during your term of supervision. How do you plead to number 6?
Guilty.
And the last one is condition number 10, about your fees. You failed to make payments toward your supervision fees, and you are in arrears $693. How do you plead to violating number 10?
Guilty.
Okay, thank you. Would you answer Mr. Till's questions, please?
Mr. Jones, on the first charge, number 3, do you have a good working relationship with your parole officer?
I talked to him once over the phone. I never, when I call, he wouldn't answer, or when I call, he'll answer and he'll be busy or something. And that's when I got in touch. Well, Miss Angela got in touch with my mom, and that's where I started conversating when then she came visit me.
Okay, so you never told him that you were moving?
No, I mean, whenever I gave Miss Angela the address, the new address, and I told her I was gonna be living at that address with my father.
Okay. On the charge of number 5, You said you were not guilty on this charge. You want to talk about that?
Which one it is? Read it to me again.
You were involved in a criminal activity on or about 12/15/2023 by having possession of a firearm.
Not guilty.
I mean, what, it wasn't your gun?
That wasn't mine. That wasn't mine.
It was not in your possession.
Not in my possession.
Okay. And what about your employment?
I mean, it was kind of hard for me in units. I tried at a few places, Wendy's, McDonald's, but it's hard. It was hard for me with the background, the charge that I plead out to when I first came to jail.
So that's one of the reasons why you're in the rear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have no more questions.
Mr. Bauer.
Yeah, also under condition number 5, that we're talking about when you got into a confrontation with the correctional staff, you had a shank fall out of your pants onto the floor, and that you claimed that you had that shank for your personal protection.
Protection. Yes, sir.
What was the problem? Why did you need protection in jail? Why did you feel like you had to have a shank?
I mean, well, when they took me out of 3D, they placed me in an environment where in a dorm to where they knew I had enemies, and they still placed me and another deputy. I got into it. We started sharing words or whatever, and he put me in a dorm out of being like ugly or whatever. He put me out in there out of being ugly, and on the camera they watched us get into it. And came in there and told me, like, if y'all fight, you going to lockdown. So they watched me on camera get into it. Multiple enemies, not one, multiple. And still ain't come take me out of there. So I felt I wasn't safe. I wasn't safe. I was placed in an environment of violence.
All right. Also says that you kicked one of those deputies in the face when he was trying to restrain you in the chair. Is that the same deputy that did you wrong with the lockup, or someone different?
It was someone different.
Why did you think you needed to kick him in the face? What is he doing to you?
I didn't kick him. I didn't kick him in his face.
Okay. That's the only questions I had.
You want to say anything to us? What else would you like us to know?
I'm like, my situation is messed up, but I'm saying I got something I can read to y'all and let y'all know like what's going on or whatever.
Okay.
I say the charges we're talking about, I'm innocent until proven guilty. I refuse to violate myself, so therefore I feel like I cannot be revoked. I'm charged with the charges I am charged with until I am proven guilty of them. The charges I am accused of are misdemeanors, and I'm talking about the jail, like the jail charge, the battery of a police officer. And that I didn't get charged with that. I didn't get charged with none of them. And well, I looked it up, and it said there was 2 misdemeanors, 6 months. There's 6 months on like both of them. But when I came to my last thing, they said that they had statements or whatever saying of me passing something. But I said in the thing, I said a statement about the gun is hearsay, inadmissible into a court of law. The state was also made as a part of an accusation which has since been dropped, therefore making the statement lack of integrity. The 2 misdemeanor charges are jail charges. I was placed in an atmosphere of violence, surrounded by criminals and illegal activity for a crime which I have been since acquitted of. I would never have been involved in criminal activity if I would not have been falsely held in a jail for a crime I didn't commit. So I felt like I feel like my parole, I should be given another chance, and my parole shouldn't be violated, because I understand I didn't pay. I understand I ain't paid, but my family not the best. I ain't got the best family or whatever. I was just coming home. I ain't know a lot of stuff with my mom. My mom was struggling or whatever. I ain't know what was going on. And then when I got out there, a lot of stuff wasn't expected how I thought it was. And I just say I got a few more words to say, and then I'm done. I say I did not have well. And then there's another thing about them two so said battery of an officer and the shank or whatever. I was held in a hole. I went to the disciplinary board or whatever, and I got 15 days already. So I felt like why could that be used against me? I was punished already and sentenced or whatever. And like I was just saying, like this. Like if y'all feel like I'm involving myself in criminal activity or whatever, I take house arrest or whatever. I just want to get back to my family.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
No, you're being held in jail on a parole hold.
Yes, ma'am.
It's alleged you violated the conditions of your parole.
Yes, ma'am.
Saying you're being held for something you didn't do.
No, like when I first came to jail, if they said that I did that, why they didn't come at the time and try to violate me so I could have got that out the way or whatever? Because I don't got no participation in none of that. I never participated in no criminal activity.
And somebody saw you hand off a gun.
As a statement said somebody saw me handing off a gun. I never handed nobody no gun. I never handed nobody no gun.
It was more than one person. Oh,
But I'm trying to see, they dismissed the charges, so how can it be used against me?
because your conditions of parole say you can't possess a firearm.
They dropped the charge. I never possessed the firearm.
That has nothing to do with it. All right, I think we're ready to vote. Mr. Tillis,
My vote is to revoke.
Mr. BYRD.
I'm gonna concur with Mr. Tillis. Probable cause was found on all of the violations at the preliminary hearing.
And I do agree. I find him guilty of violating conditions number 3, 5, 6, and 10. So today, Mr. Jones, your parole's being revoked.
I mean, I can't be given no tech.
State Landry, we're going to sign off at 9:39.
Yes, ma'am.
Damn, yeah, they already had
Good morning. Committee on Parole is reconvening. We're now at Orleans Parish Prison on Thursday, October 24th, 2024. It is 9:43 a.m. And Mr. Wilson, is that you?
Yes.
Good morning. Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
Ronald Wilson, Ron Joseph Wilson. My DOC number is 569009.
All right, and let me introduce the parole panel to you, Mr. Wilson. My name is Cheryl Renatza. Excuse me, seated to my left, Mr. Chucky Tillis, and to my right is Mr. Danny Byron. We're here for a revocation decision. Do you have a parole? Do you have any paperwork there with you? Yes, that's a parole revocation questionnaire. Is that your signature on the bottom of that page?
Yes, ma'am.
And that is an indicator that you're not eligible for appointed counsel this morning. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
Okay. Your mother, Ms. Valentine, is trying to dial in. She wants to speak on your behalf, so we'll ask her to do so whenever she gets in. First, I'm going to read the violations against you, after which you'll enter a plea of guilty with a statement, or not guilty. And then Mr. Barra will be asking you some questions.
Okay.
Okay, so you're violating condition number 4, and it states you committed new criminal conduct of simple assault, battery upon a dating partner, and theft in New Orleans on or about July 20th, 2024. The charges were refused August 15, 2024, under Orleans Magistrate Docket 613-088. How do you violating condition number 4?
I'm sorry.
How do you plead to that violation?
Not guilty.
Not guilty. And then there's condition number 10. You've not submitted payments as scheduled. You're currently in arrears over $505. How do you plead to violating number 10?
Guilty.
All right, thank you. And I see that we have Ms. Valentine in now. Good morning, Ms. Valentine. We'd like.
Good morning.
You want to speak on his behalf?
Yes.
Okay, now's the time to do that.
Yes, my son did not do this violation. I have text messages and I've had conversations with Miss Lawson stating that she did it out of anger and she overreacted. She sent stuff to his parole officer stating the same, and text messages sent me screenshots of that. And I just can't understand how he's sitting in here for something that he didn't actually do. She's admitted that. That's why it wasn't even accepted by the DA.
Thank you for that information. We will, we'll begin our interview with Ronald. Mr. Wilson, would you answer Mr. Byrod's questions?
Yeah.
Looking at the reports and the documentation in this case, it looks like probable cause was found to believe that you did hit her at the preliminary hearing held based on the details in the police report. And one of the key details that sticks out to me out of the police report is that Officer Daniels arrived on scene and noticed redness and swelling to the left side of Miss Lawson's face. So how did she get redness and swelling on the side of her face, and what happened that night? What's your version of what happened that night?
I was never like nowhere in her presence. I was by me and Ms. Lawson got a child together, and I also have a child with my other baby mama. They're like around the same age, and they don't get along. And she was mad at the fact that I wasn't coming by her. I was by my other child mom or whatever. Which I never knew nothing about the police report till the day I was arrested. I never knew she had called the police that day. I was by my other child mother house or whatever. She was calling my phone and I wasn't answering the phone. She texted my phone saying she was gonna show me and all that, and I never replied to her or whatever. So after probably 2-3 weeks later, that's when I wound up going by her house. I never knew she called the police and made up no story about me slapping her in her face or nothing like that. I never knew. I would have never went over there by her or whatever. And the day of the incident, when she called the police and she said we was driving in a car or whatever, and I raised my hand like I was gonna hit her, but I didn't hit her. I was never in the car with her. She wound up leaving the house or whatever because she knew my child's birthday, the same child who mom was about at night. When she called the police, she knew my child's birthday was the next day on the 21st. And she didn't want me to go around her, didn't want me to go around her at all. So she was she was mad with her, so she wound up leaving the house with her because she said, because I told her I was going to go to the party or whatever, and I told her I was about to leave. So she said, wait, hold up. So she wound up leaving the house. Next thing you know, the police knocking on the door. And I'm like, and they just caught me by surprise. Like, I'm wondering what they knocking on the door, what they looking for me for.
Well, you said a lot right there, but basically what I'm understanding is that you're saying you wasn't even there and you never touched her.
No, yeah, I never touched her. I never touched her. The day when she was like, I slapped her in her face, I never knew nothing about that. Never knew nothing about her calling the police or none of that. I would have never went around her after that.
And I know at the preliminary hearing, you heard the details of what she alleged about you coming home, the mail's number across the thing, she laughed, you slapped her. You heard all those things that they said, right?
I heard all that.
You're saying that you never even were in the house and everything right there is made up?
That's made up.
That's what you're saying, all of it, everything?
Yes.
Okay, and then back to my original question. How do you think she got the bruising and the redness that the officer saw when he got there on her face? It looked like she had been slapped.
I have no idea. I didn't slap her.
All right. That's the only questions I had.
Shall any questions?
No.
Anything else you want to tell us, Mr. Wilson?
That's all. Bitch, she don't like me spending time with her child or being around my baby mom. That's all I have to say.
Why are you behind on?
Again,
Why are you behind on your fees?
I was working to get the money up, whatever. I had wound up going to have surgery or whatever, and the money I did help. I went to help my mom with the bills or whatever. And I figured when I had time to double back and pay it or whatever.
What's your relationship with Ms. Lawson now?
That's just the mother of my child. I don't have no relationship with her, like, as far as, like, me and her, we just have a child together.
All right. I think we're ready to vote.
I got one more question
Okay,
before
go
we
ahead.
vote. I'm looking at your record and you, right now, the parole that you're currently on as a third felony offender, you're on for resisting an officer with violence, criminal negligent discharge of a firearm, domestic abuse, child endangerment, threat of a firearm, domestic abuse battery, strangulation, and domestic abuse aggravated assault with a dangerous weapon. With those charges, was Miss Lawson
No,
victim in any of those?
no.
It was a whole totally different person?
And it was my child mom who she don't like. That's who that was.
Other child's mom
Yeah,
that you got a good relationship with now?
yeah, we talking now, we good.
Okay. Oh, we're ready.
Yeah, we're ready to vote. So, Mr. Barrow?
Well, Mr. Wilson, I'm gonna have to vote to revoke your parole today based on the probable cause being found at the prior preliminary hearing and the testimonial in the statement of the police officer of what he found and saw.
Mr. Tillis?
I concur with Mr. Barrow.
Mr. Wilson, I hear what you're saying. I hear what your mother's saying, but again, as Mr. Barra has indicated, there was probable cause found, so my vote today also is to revoke. Find you, guilty of violating the conditions of your parole. Today, your parole is being revoked. That concludes our business in Orleans. It's 9:53. Good morning. Committee on Parole is reconvening. It's 10:04 a.m. We are now at St. Tammany. My name is Cheryl Renatza, serving as chairman of today's parole panel. Mr. Chuck Tillis is seated to my left. Mr. Danny BYRD is to my right. Would the staff officer at St. Tammany introduce himself for the record, please?
Corporal Jonathan Lott.
Corporal Lott, thank you so much again today for accommodating us. And we have Mr. Orange in front of us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
Vernon Orange, number 180943.
Yes, sir. And we do have joining us by Zoom, Crystal Orange, who would like to speak, and we'll call on her at the appropriate time. Mr. Orange, we are here today. You were scheduled last month in September for a hearing, and at that time you elected to continue that hearing so that you could get retained counsel. Do you expect counsel this morning?
No, ma'am, Miss Renata, and I've spoken to my parole officer since that time, and if it'll save the board time and myself, there's some discrepancies in the facts, but there's nothing that, I mean, I'd like to, call myself or admit that I'm a technical violator, and if possible.
Tell you what, we're going to go through the process, okay? I want to be sure we do everything just perfect. So I'm going to read the allegations against you, after which you'll enter the plea of guilty or not guilty, and then we'll hear what you have to say. You're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 3, which says on or about July 7, 2022, you absconded from supervision. Multiple attempts were made to locate you by phone calls and physical attempts by your supervising parole officer. A parole warrant was subsequently issued for your arrest July 7, 2022. You were arrested on said warrant in Jefferson Parish on June 26, 2024. So how do you plead to violation number 3?
I left the residence without my parole officer knowing.
Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Okay. We're going to get through the pleas and then you can tell us about it.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 7, condition number 7, you failed to truthfully and promptly answer all questions directed to you by your parole officer when on or about July 7, 2022, you absconded from your parole supervision. Parole warrant was subsequently issued for your arrest July 7, 2022. You were arrested on said warrant in Jefferson Parish, June 26, 2024. So how do you plead to violating condition number 7?
Not guilty, Miss Renata. I can't answer any questions if I don't see him, and I did abscond.
We're going to go on.
Yes,
Condition
ma'am.
number 1, you failed to allow visits to your residence by your parole officer when on or about July 7, 2022, you absconded from your parole supervision. Again, a parole warrant was subsequently issued for your arrest July 2nd, 2022. You're arrested on that warrant in Jefferson Parish, June 26, 2024. How do you plead to number 9?
Guilty.
Okay, so tell us what you want us to know.
Well, there's some discrepancies in the facts, but I'm not here to try and make anybody look bad on myself, but I had no intentions of absconding. I've been through some things that were pretty rough and were overwhelming. I've never missed a payment on my parole fees. My phone number's never changed, and my email was always present on paying my fees. It's present and reconfirmed. I never heard from him, and I thought he was going to call me. It didn't turn out that way, and that's why I would like to waive my rights and plead guilty to being a technical violator and accept the 90-day penalty. Hopefully the board will, at its discretion, see fit to put me back on parole with Mr. Harrison and take it from there. I've had a perfect record upon leaving Angola and 6 years with Mr. Hall, who never had a problem contacting me. I'm just pleading that in my defense I wouldn't let this happen again, ma'am.
Why'd you abscond?
The definition of absconding, I'm not really certain of what it is, but I had
Supposed
no
to live at
choice
your
but to
address of
leave.
record. You're supposed to live at your address of record, your approved residence. The last
I left
contact,
due to damage to the condo we were living in, the fact that the owners of the condo were my girlfriend's family. And they wanted to fix those small repairs there and sell the condo, and we would ask to leave, and we did.
when was that?
I don't remember the exact date, Miss Renata, but my daughter's here and I went to stay with her after the hurricane. I don't remember the exact date.
You're pretty good with the other details.
Well, I have no choice, man, but to say I absconded because I did it without his knowledge and I couldn't reach him thereafter. I didn't mean to abscond, and everything in my record would show that. I've worked too hard to give it up just for leaving. I wouldn't have done that.
So Hurricane Ida was in August of 2021. The last physical contact was made in November of 2021 in Slidell.
I'm not sure that's correct, Mr. Renata, but I have no way to disprove it, and that's why I was gonna.
Yeah,
You know,
I have narratives in the record. So why did you leave? So when you left Slidell, where'd you go?
To my daughter's house.
And that's where?
It was on number 107 Military Road in Slidell, ma'am. And I did try to contact Mr. Harrison. I didn't get a response.
How many times you try?
Ma'am?
How many times did you try?
A few. I really thought Mr. Harrison was going to contact me. Mr. Hall always did.
Tried. There was an appointment letter left February 2022, February 11th, February 26th. Attempted phone calls, May 13th, 2022, May 23rd, 2022, June 4th, 2022. Called your
Where were
family.
they left, Miss Renata?
2022.
Where were those left?
Oh, I didn't make those notes. I'd have to dig in the record to find out, but
Well, I was
they
gone.
tried to find.
Well,
But it's
none
your
of my.
responsibility to get in touch with him. It's
Yes,
not
ma'am,
his
it is, and
responsibility.
that's why I was gonna plead guilty as a technical violator. I didn't mean for this to happen, and I stayed with my daughter, my sister. Ma'am?
I asked Mr. Byra if he had any questions of you.
Do you know that it's your responsibility to report to the parole officer, not his responsibility to report to you?
I do now, by all means, sir.
I see you're a fifth offender. How many times have you been on parole or probation before in your life?
Only once, sir. I've served my time in Angola. I was in for 20+ years.
How did that, so you never had supervision before this time?
No, sir, other than Mr. Hall, who saw, I got out in 2016. And he had me for, I guess, 6 years. Never had a problem with him.
Now, hey, he's asking you some questions.
Yeah, don't dig a deeper hole for yourself. I'm just trying to make sure that you know that it's not the parole officer's responsibility to check in with you. It's your responsibility to check in with him and make sure he knows where you're at, where you moved to, where you're working, what you're doing. It's your responsibility. Do you understand that now?
Yes,
Fully
sir, and I do
now?
understand it now.
Okay, that's all I have.
We're gonna hear from Crystal.
I'm sorry, I had to unmute you. Hi, how are you? Good morning. I want to say I'm not here to down Mr. Collin at all. I do not know him. I've never heard from him. I have lived in both places, 2 apartments. And the one I'm actually here now, I've been for almost 3 years. I have not gotten one contact from him. He's never come to my apartment. I don't know what he looks like. I've never spoken to this gentleman, and I'm his point of contact when he was put on parole. I have contacted Mr. Collin. I also have it in text message, and he has never yet to report or contact me about my father. Mr. Hall, I have, definitely. I've met Mr. Hall many places. I've talked to him. And again, I'm not here to down Collin, but he has not returned any of my phone calls yet either. I know that's my dad's responsibility, but I have to speak upon that. He does have family support. He does have his own income. He is on disability. And again, if he is let on the 90 days, he will be coming to stay with me. I will make sure that he gets a job. Yes, he has not missed a payment. I can pull up the paperwork that you just spoke upon with his girlfriend and when they were asked to leave, because I have the letter, but it would take me a minute to go dig for it.
Well, thank you, Ms. Orange. We
Yes,
appreciate
ma'am.
this morning. Anything else you want to say, Vernon Orange?
No, ma'am, other than I've been through quite a few things that were overwhelming. As I said, I've suffered a stroke and a bad motorcycle accident. And
Since you've been out?
yes, ma'am. And it's not, again, I'm not trying to argue or say that I didn't leave the residence. Like I said, I'd like to plead guilty as a technical violator and with the board's discretion, receive parole back with Mr. Harrison.
So you've had some bad things happen. Yes, I agree. You've also had some good things happen.
I didn't hear you, Miss Renata. I'm sorry.
Said you've had some bad things happen. You just described to us. You've also had some good things that happened too since you've been out of jail. Would you say?
Yes, ma'am. And I'm not trying to, as I said, it's my fault I violated, and I wouldn't let it happen again if y'all see fit to put me back on parole.
Does any of this have anything to do with you winning the lottery?
No, ma'am, that was way back.
Right.
I was with Mr. Hall when that occurred, and I bought a car and paid all my bills, and nothing happened since then.
Session, could you call the roll?
Sharon Ronaldo.
Yes.
Danny Barrow.
Yeah.
Chuck Tillers.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Orange, we're going to be in executive session for a few moments to discuss confidential matters.
Thank you. So that means there's moments, or you need to keep this.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, no. Never mind, forget it. Murder on a robbery job. Stop it. We're on a phone right now. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Orange, we're back in regular session. It's 10:23. Can we have the roll call?
Jerome Thompson,
Yes.
Chucky Taylor,
Here.
Danny Barros.
Here.
All right, Mr. Orange, we're ready to vote. First, I'd like to find out Crystal's, what's her address?
516 Erlanger Avenue, Slidell, 70458.
Spell the street name?
ERLANGER.
How do you say that?
Erlanger.
Erlanger. Okay.
Yes. It's right in
All right.
front of the courthouse in Slidell.
Good. All right, Mr. Orange, I'm pretty frustrated with you. I think you're your own worst enemy. So, and you almost talked yourself into some trouble today, but we're gonna get around it. So I agree, I do find you guilty of violating condition number 379. You are correct, it is a technical violation. So I will vote to impose the 90-day technical violation. I will add special conditions once you're released, that you do reside with your daughter at 516 Erlanger Avenue in Slidell. And you will have a GPS monitor at your expense. That's my vote, Mr. Tillis.
I concur.
I concur.
All right, so you'll be released once we get all the paperwork in order. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Ms. Renata.
Sign out at St. Tammany. It's 10:25.
You in?
Saying that.
Oh. I want me a little bit. They got you started on this.
All right, good morning. The Committee on Parole's reconvening. We're at WINN Parish Jail at 10:33 a.m. on Thursday, October 24th, 2024. With the staff at WINN, please introduce yourself for the record.
How you doing? My name is Jerome Thompson, 491948.
Yeah, you got any staff in the room with you or are you by yourself?
Hold on, Miss Lady. Let me call somebody for you.
Because your camera's not on.
Hey, need somebody right here. They finna call.
No, they didn't have to. You trying to get out?
You see me now?
I do, I do.
How y'all doing this morning?
Good. How are you?
The staff though.
Yeah, we wanted the officer to introduce himself for the record.
Okay, I'm Patrolman Bert Wolf.
All right.
Sergeant Wolf.
All right, Sarge, thanks for helping us out today. And so, Mr. Thompson, did you tell us your DOC number?
Yes, ma'am. 491948.
All right, yeah, that's what I got. So you're here for a revocation decision. You got any paperwork there with you?
The paperwork that I have is what my parole officer had brought to me about my final revocation hearing.
Yeah, is that the parole revocation questionnaire there too?
I have a board of pardons and committee on parole, and I have.
We gonna put the one I'm talking about. We're gonna put up on the screen for you. That one. You see it?
Let me see. The only one I don't have that one.
On the screen.
The last time I had that paper was the one after I had got from my charge. That's when he brought it to me the first time. The one I have is this one right here.
What's the date on the bottom of that page?
This one says 10/7/24 when he brought it to me, but it was 10/4/2024 when it's typed up from Negative District, and it said that my parole hearing was 10/24/2024.
Right, but that other questionnaire, that other piece of paper that was you signed in June of 2024, that's the one I'm looking for for you to verify that's your signature.
Well, this is the only one that I have. Let me see.
Look on the screen. That's your signature at the bottom of that page.
Excuse me, the one at the bottom where it say June 14, 2024, I did sign my name like that in print. So
Okay.
that is my.
That's what I was looking for. Thank you, sir. Based on your answers to those questions on that questionnaire, that June 14th date, you're not eligible for appointed counsel. So are you ready to proceed today with your revocation hearing?
You say I'm not eligible for appointed counsel?
Right.
So that means I'll be able to represent myself, right?
Represent yourself, or you can hire a lawyer.
Well, the thing about that, Ms. Lady, is I had more than one piece of paper that come to me about appointed counsel, and I went to court with an appointed counsel on August the 26th.
That's different. The court proceedings are different from these proceedings.
Okay. Well, if it's
do it.
Well, we can go without the appointed counsel to see how it goes, and if it's any mishaps, I just have to try to get back in court and talk to y'all on another basis or something.
All right, you can hire a lawyer if you like.
I have no money to hire a lawyer. I'm indigent.
Okay. All right, we're gonna proceed. So can you read and write?
I know how to read and write, Miss Lady, Miss Cheryl.
Have you ever had any mental health diagnosis?
The only mental health diagnosis I had went to Elaine Hunt's Correctional Center, and I stayed like 9 months in there, and then they released me back to the compound after my evaluation.
So at the time of your arrest on our parole warrant, were you under the care of any mental health professional?
No, ma'am, not on the time of the arrest. You
Okay.
talking about let me ask you a question before you go on. You talking about for when I came to jail, when he arrested me this time after my charge was taken care of? No, ma'am, I was not on no mental health.
All right, well, still, based on that, you're not eligible for appointed counsel, at least for this proceeding. So you ready to go? You ready to do it?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay, let me get to the right piece of paper. Here it is. Here it is. All right. Mr. Thompson, you're accused of violating the conditions of your parole. Specifically, I'm going to read them out and you'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty or guilty with a statement, and then we'll take your statement. All right, you ready?
I'm listening.
You're accused of violating condition number 4. You failed to refrain from criminal activity. You were arrested May 17, 2024 for the offense of simple battery, disturbing the peace, and resisting an officer by the Winfield Police Department. On August 27, 2024, you pled guilty to disturbing the peace in Winfield City Court and were given credit for time served. All other counts were dismissed. So how did you violate that instance of condition number 4?
Conditions of number 4 of disturbing the peace.
Yes.
I did violate, I did agree to disturbing the peace as a charge that I was pleading guilty to.
You can tell us all that in a minute. I just need you to say guilty or not guilty.
Oh, guilty to disturbing the peace, I did.
Then there's another instance of number 4 where it says, on May 2nd, 2024, you admitted to smoking the illegal substance Mojo. How do you plead?
I did admit to smoking Mojo to my parole loss.
Thank you. So you plead guilty or not guilty?
I plead guilty to smoking Mojo to my parole loss, so that's admission.
Okay. The next one is condition number 8, and it says on May 2nd, 2024, you admitted to smoking Mojo. You were referred to uprisings for a substance abuse evaluation. You failed to attend and complete treatment. Now, how do you?
Hold on. I only told him I was smoking Mojo one time, and that was at a hearing where I had took a drug test. So if he got two different
It's the
dates,
same instance. It's not. It's the same instance. It's all on May 2nd, 2024.
but you just said May 8 or something like that, didn't you?
So it was condition number 8. And then I said on May 2nd, you admitted to smoking Mojo. You were referred to uprisings for a substance abuse evaluation, but you failed to attend and complete treatment.
So May 2nd, I had a parole visitation with Jonathan Jackson. I did tell him I was smoking Mojo. He did send me, well, how you said,
Substance abuse evaluation.
yeah, he did recommend me for a substance abuse evaluation to uprising in Shreveport, Louisiana.
All right.
Therefore
what?
Therefore, I pled guilty to telling him I smoked Mojo that day.
All right. So how do you plead to failing to attend and complete the treatment at uprisings?
Failing to attend, I never made it to the treatment because I didn't have legal transportation to get there because I have no ride.
You can give us all that explanation. I just need you to say guilty, guilty with a statement, or not guilty.
Guilty with a statement.
Guilty with a statement. Then the last one is condition number 10. You have an arrearage of $177 in your supervision fees. You haven't made a payment since March 21st, 2024. So how do you number 10?
Guilty with a statement.
Okay. So listen, your case has been assigned to Mr. BYRD. Would you answer his questions, please? You can give me your statements to him.
All right, so let's go back to condition number 8. There's number 4, you already admitted to that one. Number 8, said with a statement, and that was in regards to going to the treatment facility. Why didn't you go to the treatment facility?
Well, I had no legal transportation to get to the facility, and also I had a lady that was working at a store that was behind the house where I was living at, where she was trying to help me get some type of some type of help for that. Therefore, I talked to her that day, and she was gonna try to help me get to Shreveport. But then she said that she couldn't transfer me to there, so I had no way to get there. I had no legal transportation.
Okay, so you didn't do it, but you tried.
I tried to get there, but I didn't have no transportation to get there.
All right, well, that clears that one up. And number 10, was about the money. you said guilty with a statement on that one. What statement you want to make about that?
Well, after I had got my plea of disturbing the peace, it was a portion of that was paid of $300 and some from a Kathy Butler. She took a money order to there and sent in, and they're supposed to clear that up.
Obviously not all of it. Okay. Well, that's. Tell me just a little bit more about on May 17th, the simple battery, disturbing the peace and resisting an officer. What happened there?
Well, I was at my house at the point of time when those 3 charges had occurred. The simple battery, me and my uncle had got into it. We tussled in the yard. No one was injured. Then the police officer said I was trying to resist him and he tased me in the yard, but I never tried to run or none of that. I was in my own residence at the time of that happening. So everything that took place with those charges was at my own residence. There was no other place where it happened at. It would happen at 904 San Pedro Street.
All right. Well, I don't have any more questions if anybody else does. No, I don't have any.
I have any questions of you, Mr. Thompson? Do you have anything you want to say to us?
Well, I'm trying to figure out, like, after the charges of me going to court and pleading guilty to disturbing the peace, and the other charges was being dropped, the lady that I was dealing with, she was getting in contact with a parole officer, and they called and let me go, saying that my charges was taken care of. Then a couple of weeks later, they come back and get me and saying I had a parole hold.
Right. Yeah, I saw that in the record where you were released in error because apparently they didn't see the parole hold and they went and got you back. Right?
So now I'm trying to figure out if I have to do a substance abuse treatment, or do I have a chance of a turnaround of being incarcerated of how I've been?
Well, you got to wait and see how we vote. So we're going to go ahead and vote. Mr. BYRD will be voting first, and then we'll tell you about it.
Mr. Thompson, you don't leave me any choice but to vote to revoke your parole. You're guilty of number 4 with the disturbing the peace conviction and the mojo usage. You're guilty of number 8 by not going to the treatment, and you're also guilty of number 10. So you leave me no choice but to vote to revoke parole.
Mr.
My
Hill.
vote is to revoke also with the same conditions that he pled guilty to.
Right. Mr. Thompson, you pled guilty to violating the conditions of your parole. So today I vote also to revoke your parole. So today, sir, your parole is going to be revoked. And yes, I agree. You do need substance abuse treatment. You can ask there. I don't know if there's any there. I'll make a note in the record that you're in need of substance abuse treatment. See if DOC does anything with that. So
that's why they revoked.
that's our business in WINN Parish. We're going to sign out at 10:47.
I have something else to say. Man, that's some bullshit, bro.
Good morning. The Committee on Parole is reconvening. We are now at Iberville Parish Jail. It is 10:51 a.m. on Thursday, October 24th, 2024. And you are Mr. Lawrence? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
There you go. Let me first get the officer to introduce himself for the record.
Deputy Simpson.
I mean, introduce herself. Thank you, Deputy Simpson. Mr. Lawrence, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
Vernon Lawrence, 63271.
Yeah. 632. What'd you say it was again? Tell me again. Say it again.
63271.
You're missing a number in there somewhere.
632-571.
Okay, good. Thank you. Mr. Lawrence, my name is Cheryl Renatza. Mr. Chucky Tillis is seated to my left. Mr. Danny BYRD to my right. We are your parole panel today, and you're here for a revocation decision. I see you have some paperwork there with you. Is that your parole revocation questionnaire?
Yes, ma'am.
That's your signature at the bottom of that page.
Yes, ma'am.
So based on that information, you're not eligible for appointed counsel this morning. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to read the allegations against you, after which you will enter a plea. And you can plead guilty with a statement, or not guilty. And then after you enter your plea, there's two conditions that you're alleged to have violated. And then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. BYRD. Your case has been assigned to him. He's going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
You're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 4, and it reads, you are believed to have been engaged in criminal activity as evidenced by your arrest by White Castle Police Department on or about July 1st, 2024, for the offenses of simple kidnapping, domestic abuse, child endangerment, and home invasion. You are alleged to have broken into a female complainant's home through a window, where you are alleged to have bit and choked her. You are alleged to have broken back into the home and kidnapped the female's 2-year-old child. You were found at another location by the White Castle Police Department with the missing child. The child was recovered from you, and you were booked into the Iberville Parish Jail for the offense of simple kidnapping, domestic abuse, child endangerment, and home invasion. An order of protection was issued against you by the court and will remain in effect until January 18, 2026 at 11:59 a.m. You were billed with simple kidnapping, domestic abuse, battery, and home invasion under Iberville number 555-24 on September 5th, 2024. You pled guilty to the amended charge of simple battery. You were sentenced to serve 60 days in the parish jail. The charges for domestic abuse, battery, child endangerment, home invasion, and simple kidnapping were non-crossed. So how do you plead to violating condition number 4?
I guess guilty, I guess.
We'll talk about it. Condition number 10, which states at the time of your arrest, you were in arrears for $65 processing fee and $315 supervision fee. So how do you plead to condition number 10? What has to do with your fees?
Guilty.
All right, thank you. Would you answer Mr. BYRD's questions, please?
Okay.
There's not really too many questions to be asked. You pled guilty to both of the violations. I guess maybe you could tell us what's your version of the story where all the felonies happened?
Well, the what?
The felonies where you got arrested for kidnapping, child endangerment, and all of that.
I didn't at all put my hands on her, but I did come to the house and entered the home or whatever, just trying to get my belongings or whatever from her. But I mean, prior to that, she ran out the house, left the child running behind her, And that's how I had took accountability for the child or whatever.
Was that your child?
No, that's not my child.
All right. I don't have any more questions.
You were living with her at the time?
At the time we was together, it's not either one of our apartment, but we was living together.
I have no questions.
Well, did it say you were trying to get your stuff or something?
Yeah, he said that. That's why I asked him if he was living with her.
Yes, before we had went to my mama's house or whatever, and she had ended up leaving me. And my phone, credit card, all of this stuff was in the car. So I was still trying to get her to come out the house to get in the car to get my stuff out the car. My clothes and stuff was in the house. It just had stuff there from us living together.
But not at that house.
Yeah, at the house we was at.
All right. Anything else you want to tell us?
That's really it, because that's really all that happened.
All right. I think we're prepared to vote. Mr. Lawrence, Mr. Byron will be voting first.
Mr. Lawrence, you don't really give me much choice in this case. You're currently on supervision for domestic abuse, violation of a protective order, possession of a firearm by a felon and resisting police by force, domestic violence stuff, and then here you go getting involved in some more domestic violence issues and end up pleading guilty to a simple battery. So for those reasons, I have to vote to revoke your parole today.
Mr. Tillis.
My vote is to revoke, because he pled guilty to the charges entered.
And I too, Mr. Lawrence, vote to revoke based on your pleading guilty to a simple battery. So today, sir, your parole's being revoked. Good luck to you. Right off from Iberville at 10:59. Good morning. Committee on Parole is reconvening. We are at East Baton Rouge Parish Prison. Today is October 24th, 2024. It is 11 o'clock in the morning. Would the officer at East Baton Rouge please introduce yourself for the record?
This is Captain Miles. I'm the Chief of Intake and Release here at the Parish Prison.
Thanks, Captain Miles. We appreciate you taking care of us today.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
this is Mr. Veal.
No, this is actually Mr. Byrd. Mr. Veal sitting outside.
All right, what? Just stand by. Let me get to that file, Mr.
I'm
Byrd.
sorry. I misunderstood. I thought it was Mr. Byrd at first.
It's okay.
Who are we going to?
This is Norman Byrd. Yes, we have you more than.
We
Yes.
We can switch them out. It won't take but a second. If you want me to.
Okay, we're ready. We can do it.
No.
All right. Mr. Byrd, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
My name is Norman Byrd. DOC is 93803.
All right, Mr. Byrd, let me introduce the panel to you. My name is Cheryl Renatza. Seated to my left, Mr. Tillis, and to my right is Mr. BYRD. We are your parole panel here today, and we are here for a revocation decision. Do you have your parole revocation questionnaire there with you? You have your paperwork?
That's what I gave.
Yes, ma'am, I surely do.
So you should have your parole revocation questionnaire where they asked you about, can you read and write? What was
Yes.
your salary? Is that your signature at the bottom of that page?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so based on that, you're not eligible for appointed counsel. You ready to proceed today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I'm going to read the allegations against you, after which you'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. And then we'll have a discussion about your plea. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you're accused of violating condition number 4. You tested positive for cocaine on the following dates: August 28, 2023, February 2nd, 2024, April 4th, 2024, and September 19, 2024. How do you plead to violating condition number 4?
I plead guilty, Ms. Renasta.
Okay. Condition number 8, and it says you failed to attend sex offender treatment for the months of May 2024, June 2024, July 2024, and August 2024. How do you plead to violating condition number 8?
I plead guilty, ma'am.
And then last is condition number 10. You owe $3,024 in supervision fee arrearages. How do you plead to violating condition number 10?
I also plead guilty, Ms. Renasta.
Okay. Well, tell us about it all. Why'd you test positive for cocaine?
Ms. Renasta, when I got out of Angola, I didn't know anybody in Baton Rouge. I came here to get a fresh start, and I had broke my neck, and I had six surgeries since I've been out. 2 spinal surgeries. I just broke off the socket off my hip that holds my leg bone on, and 3 eye surgeries. But it had it really hard. I didn't get no disability, I didn't have no income at all. I tested positive. And during that time for the cocaine, I got it for my pain. I didn't have no medicine. I struggled long and hard to kick the cocaine habit. I didn't have no help here. So I fell off into that, but I did pass 9 of my tests. Now, as far as the cocaine problem, as far as not going to class, Mr. Renasta, a lot of times, if you don't have the money, you cannot go to class. I had a government telephone. I was doing it off of Zoom whenever Miss Amanda went to back to Georgia. But it was a federally funded program, and they stopped funding it. I didn't have the money for a new telephone. Then I broke my hip. Then it got infected, and I was at home. My parole officer came by. He seen me in the bed, so he told me to, as soon as I got able to get up and get dressed, to go to Miss Jackson. I called Miss Jackson and enrolled in her program, and I went, and I was supposed to go as well the next time, the day I was arrested, because I went to the parole office that morning, and I was supposed to go that evening. So I was guilty of not going for reasons of being in the hospitals. As far as not paying y'all, I never had no money. I just now won my disability and Social Security tab, and I'm getting my little checks. And my Medicare is supposed to, I got to go next month for it. So I'm able now with my checks to give $100 a month towards parole and probation for my arrears, as well as my monthly fee, because it's direct deposit. If I can get help to set it up to go straight to y'all automatically, that would be perfect for me.
So you you released in 2020
Yes, ma'am.
from Angola? Where'd you release from?
From Angola.
And
Yes,
so
ma'am.
you released to One Touch Ministries.
Yes, ma'am. That's
And
where
so
Miss Jack. Yes,
that's where
ma'am.
Miss Jackson is?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
How'd you
And,
break,
ma'am,
how'd you break your hip?
I was in a place of business over here at the restaurant. I was trying to get some work. I went over to the restaurant. They had extension cord running across the floor when I went in it, and I tripped over the extension cord and broke the ball off of my hip bone. Then they sent me home and it got infected. I couldn't even dress myself. Couldn't do anything.
When you say home, you went back to One Touch Ministries?
No, ma'am, I'm staying with my godmother and my godfather on 1628 South Flannery. My godfather's 88. He just passed away. I was feeding him through a tube and helping him because he had 2 strokes. My godmother is from California. She's 80 years old. I'm taking care of her and she's taking care of me. We both live there together. She needs me badly. And
How old are you?
I'm 65 in 2 months. Now I'm able to do my Medicare in November. Actually, it's February 2nd, I'll be 65.
So
Since
when
I've
you got out of prison, you had Medicaid?
I had the Obamacare, yes, ma'am.
And so
And
that's
then,
how your eye surgery, your hip surgery?
yes, ma'am, and my spinal surgery, they went in through the front of my neck and sent me home. And then it was infected. I just as far as I can go. I had a tube, and they shipped me back to Tulane Medical in New Orleans. And so they put a tube in my arm. I gave myself 12 shots every 8 hours.
Right.
I was at Lady of the Lake here and Oshner's. I was going to get all the paperwork to prove to y'all I was in the hospital, but I have no one in Baton Rouge. I don't know anybody.
You have your aunt and uncle or your
I got
aunt?
I got my godfather and them. I got my godmother, but she's almost 80 years old. Oh, since I've been here though, Mr. Renasta, I got enrolled in this the Seeking Safety program here with Capital Area Human Services, and I completed the program and got my certificate. I spoke to Miss Sylvia, and she assures me they have a bed available for me at the CARP program in the parole office parking lot, that they would take me right away into that program. Ma'am,
What program did you say?
the one here or the one that they're taking me into? This is the Seeking Safety program by the Human Services.
No, the one you said they have a bed for you.
Oh, at the CARP program, right next door to the parole office on Wooddale Boulevard.
Clark?
Yes, ma'am. Here's the paperwork for it.
I'm not familiar with that program, but I can tell you what I.
It's CARP.
That's the CARP program.
Yes, CARP, CARP.
It's in the same.
Program. That's probably. You know, you're in dire need of some substance abuse treatment. Your original charge, you have a life sentence, don't you?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're there for distribution of hydrocodone is why you have a life sentence as a habitual offender?
They multi-billed me on that. Yes, ma'am.
And the sex offense treatment is?
Since 91. I haven't. Yes, ma'am. I got that charge in 1991. Since I've been out of Angola, I haven't even had a traffic violation. I had nothing. Because I won't get in any trouble.
Have you had a job at all since 2020?
I had a little bit before I got my eyes messed up over. I worked at Mike Butler Trailers on Airline Highway as a welder. But then I got my eyes messed up, and then I started having surgeries. So I hadn't worked since then. I just now got my disability correct and my Social Security. Just now got it. So like I said, I'm able to pay now for my arrears and pay the stuff.
Really more about you failed. Well, I understand about the sex offender treatment and you have to pay to go, and that sometimes is a challenge. I get that.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm real concerned about the self-medication and the cocaine. How'd you afford to buy cocaine?
I didn't, ma'am. It was given to me. I moved, when I moved from One Touch Ministries, they had hell houses that you can get. It's over in the drug area.
Right.
And that's how I got involved in that. And since then, I've been struggling hard to get away from it.
Yeah, why didn't
Really
you
hard.
discharge to your godparents' home instead of One Touch Ministries?
At the time, I didn't have their information. I couldn't even get in touch with them. So when I left the One Touch Ministries, I went with them, and I've been there ever since. I take care of their home. They got a beautiful home, and I take care of all the cars and everything. And they take care of me. I was laid up a long time, couldn't walk. I couldn't even move after my spinal surgeries.
Right.
Couldn't move at all.
Now, let me see, you have any questions? Mr. Byrd, I'm gonna make a motion now for an executive session to discuss confidential matters. You stand by, we'll be right back. Mr. Tillis has second, could you roll call?
Sharon Russell,
Yes.
Dan Barros.
Yeah.
Chucky Tillis.
Yes.
All right, stand by, Mr. Byrd.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
I hope every time.
All right, we are back in regular session. It's 11:26. Mr. Byrd, we're trying to find I don't want to revoke you. I believe the things you tell me about your hardships and your medical issues, and we were you're in desperate need of substance abuse treatment. I see you went to the Steve Oil program.
Yes, ma'am.
Did that went 2023?
Yes, ma'am. And since I came back, to be honest, Mr. Nelson, since I came back, I've had some hard times. And I've reached out, I've checked myself into a drug rehab over here on oh golly, it's for that big Government Street. But I have medical trouble, so they wouldn't take me.
Right, I understand, and we understand that was part of our concern with our challenges. So listen, we want to find you a place in the Baton Rouge area. We have been in touch while we were in executive session with the Baton Rouge District Probation and Parole Officer. They've agreed to try to, because you have some other challenges, not just the medical issues, but your other sex offense history is also an issue.
Yes, ma'am.
And so
Thank you, Lord.
you really do need some substance abuse treatment, ongoing treatment. So what I'm going to vote today is to continue this proceeding pending research and investigation by the Baton Rouge Probation and Parole District to find a suitable placement for substance abuse treatment for you. We talked to him about the CART, but they, I don't know when you got that acceptance, but they have to verify that there is truly a bed available because they do not hold beds on.
I just spoke with a lady a few moments ago. She is here.
Okay.
And she assured me that they have one.
Well, we're going to let probation and parole work through that.
Okay.
So my vote today is continued pending the investigation by probation and parole for suitable substance abuse treatment, inpatient treatment.
Okay. Here in Baton Rouge, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
And it would be wise to let whoever you're dealing with at CARP know that we're looking for a place and that Baton Rouge Probation and Parole is going to be the place to decide. If she could contact them and let them know what she has available for you and when, because that will speed things a bit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Tillings?
I concur.
And if it doesn't all work out, it's just a continued hearing. We'll bring you back and see what we can do.
Thank you, sir.
I'm ready to continue.
All right. So my vote today would be to continue this hearing and wait on a response from Baton Rouge District Probation and Parole on finding a place that will accept someone with medical issues and sex offender issues. And we'll wait for their response.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll be seeing you back soon.
Thank you, Mr. Nostra.
Good luck.
Thank you. Praise God.
All right. No, we got one more. I'm sorry, that's right. We got
Mr. Veal.
Yes.
I'll get him. Give me just a second.
Before I leave.
Yeah, sure. You can sit right here. I'll see you.
All right, Mr. Veal, good morning.
Wonder how y'all doing?
Good, thanks for asking. Would you introduce yourself, tell us your name and DOC number?
Yes, ma'am. TYRUS VEAL 743553.
Not, let me see. To be sure. Yeah, okay, it's a typo on mine, 743553. All right, sir, let me introduce the panel to you. My name is Cheryl Renatza. Mr. Chuck Tillis is seated to my left, Mr. Zini Barra to my right. We are your parole panel here today. You are here for a revocation decision. First, let me acknowledge that you have Ms. Williams is here to speak on your behalf, and we'll ask her to do so at the appropriate time. Do you have your parole revocation questionnaire?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Is that your signature at the bottom of that page?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay, and based on that information in that form, it was determined that you're not eligible for appointed counsel. You ready to proceed? You ready to move forward with the revocation hearing?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, I'm going to read the allegations against you, Mr. Veal, after which you should enter a plea of guilty with a statement, or not guilty. And after we get to please, we'll have a conversation with you, and we'll also hear from Ms. Williams. Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You've accused of violating condition number 4, and it reads, you were arrested March 19, 2024 by the Baton Rouge Police Department and charged with unauthorized entry of an inhabited dwelling, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and aggravated with a firearm. On September 3rd, 2024, the charges of aggravated assault with a firearm and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon were dismissed. How do you plead to violating condition number 4?
Not guilty.
We have condition number 5, and it says you were arrested March 19, 2024 by the Baton Rouge Police Department and charged with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. The charge was dismissed. How do you plead to violating condition number 5?
Not guilty.
Number 10, you are behind on your parole fees in the amount of $123 at the time of your arrest, and you're currently behind $504. How do you plead to violating condition number 10?
Not guilty.
All right, well, why don't you tell us what happened? Why are you in jail then if you're not guilty? I mean, I know you're here on a parole warrant, but why were you arrested in the first place?
I mean, to be honest, it's a lot of it's a long story, but like I was completely innocent of everything. But it's like when people know that you on parole and stuff, it seems to like, people could get mad and you could trigger buttons, and then certain things could be called against you and stuff, such as the aggravated stuff. See what I'm saying?
Stand by 1 second, please. Ms. Williams, can you either get yourself stationary or just kind of turn your camera off until you get to a spot where you can be still? Because we see the sky moving around a lot. It's making us dizzy.
Okay, how I turn my camera off?
If you're at the place where you're going to stay, I mean, you're fine right now, but you were moving around a lot with your camera.
Yeah, I'm trying to put my baby in the car.
Okay.
Okay.
If you see a little camera on your, it's like video camera.
It says stop video.
That's it. That's
Okay.
it.
All right.
And you click that same button when you're ready to turn it back on after you get the baby in the car. Okay.
All righty.
All right. So tell us what happened on March 19th.
Sorry. What on March 19th? I guess that's the day that I came to jail, and they read me all my rights.
I want to know what brought you to jail. Yeah, that's the day you got to jail. What happened at the house?
They came and told me that I had a warrant for my arrest and stuff like that.
So you didn't do anything?
No, ma'am, I promise I never did anything. That's how all my charges, I went all the way to trial. All my charges got dismissed and threw away. I never did anything.
Yeah, well, but weren't you at the house of Miss Williams' mother? Was it why would she say, I think it was she that called the police, wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Why she called the police?
Oh, because me and my girl who just got off the phone, my baby mother just got off the phone, had a disagreement, and then the phone dropped, and she got scared because she just lost her son and thought things was getting overhanded, but it never got out of hand.
So what do you mean? I mean, tell us exactly what happened. Did you go? Okay, this says that Miss Williams, you came to her mother's house, you wanted to talk to her, and she told you had to leave. She didn't let you inside, you became aggravated. You attempted to push your way inside, and she hurried up and closed the door, but she dropped the keys, and you took the keys and went around back and came in the house.
I don't recall none of that. I promise I don't. I don't recall none of that. I really suffered from bad trauma, but I don't recall none of that. None of that never happened.
That's the first thing that happened that day. And the mother overheard that. And then later that day is when this is the firearm issue, where you were chasing some guy who you thought. Were you chasing the guy?
That was a completely lie. That's why they got threw away the.
Why would he say that?
I told you, like, nah, on the behalf of Miss Williams and them, like that part is like what I told you, but with the guy, you just must have mistake identity me, you just just call because like no, I'm on parole. Like I keep like I'm telling you and no lie that people know that I'm on parole and get mad, and that's a easy way you could call and just say, oh, Mr. Ville chased me with a firearm, or Mr. Ville did this and did that, and I come to jail. Like I feel like that shouldn't be right when people know that I'm on parole, and it ain't no way to be able to prove that this happened without bringing me to jail, and not that I have to face y'all and be
Right.
facing.
You know Henry Haney?
Yes, ma'am.
So why he would say that about you just because he knows you're on parole?
Yes, ma'am. That's why the charges and stuff got dismissed. Like, that's what I'm telling you. That's why the charges got dismissed.
Well, I'm not sure that's why the charges got dismissed, but I'd like to hear Miss Williams. Are you ready to tell us what you want us to know, Miss Williams?
I mean, what he's saying is what happened.
So you told the police that he broke in the house or used the keys?
No, he didn't break in the house. He came there to get his insurance card.
And
I slid him his insurance card through the door. So we had a mild argument. It was not him breaking in the house. So that's what made me tell him just leave. He was always welcome to the home. My mom was over the phone at the time with me listening in, so that's what made her panic hearing us fuss, and she just called the police.
She was on the phone.
She was on the phone with me.
He came to the door.
Yes, but he never broke in the home.
What about coming in the back door?
I mean, that's not breaking in the house.
Well, if you tell him to leave and you don't want him in the house, you told him to leave, and it says.
Because I wasn't trying to, at the time I was pregnant and I was stressed and had things going on and I wasn't trying to go back and forth. That's why I told him to leave.
Right, but so You refused, this is the police report. She, being you, refused to let you inside the front door, so he became agitated and began accusing her of infidelity. You advised him that he attempted to push his way inside. You hurried up and closed the door, accidentally dropped the house keys outside on the ground. He took the keys and went to the back door and used the keys to gain entry into the residence. That would appear to be unauthorized entry if you told him to leave. Then he ran to your car door, tried to open it, because you jumped in your vehicle that he was going to show you. And then later in the day is when the alleged incident happened with Mr. Haynes. So why, if you're saying whatever you told the police wasn't true?
I mean, they added on, like I said, it wasn't considered as breaking into the home.
Ms. Williams, did he come through the back? He did come inside. So, what happened then?
Nothing happened. I left out the front to get in my car.
Oh, okay, you left.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He, I guess he pursued you, or that was it?
You say he pursued me?
He pursued you.
What you mean in that way?
Did he follow you?
No, at this point, I mean, he went back out the front door, but I was gone.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The other guy who's saying that he chased him with a gun, what was that about?
Oh, I don't know anything about that. I don't even know who the guy is.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I don't know anything about this situation.
Mr. Bowman, got any questions? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Williams. Mr. Veal, is there anything you want to say to us?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I know y'all got all this type of stuff, and I know, my conditions and stuff like that, but I promise, like, I wasn't doing nothing wrong, stuff like that. Like, I got a newborn baby, like, that's the only thing that mattered to me. Like, I just want to go home and do the right thing. See what I'm saying? I ain't trying to be doing all this jail stuff and getting falsely accused and stuff because I'm on parole and stuff. I just, just ask that y'all know that, just like the quit, with me going to trial, know that I was an innocent man.
What would you do if you get out and you are on parole and someone else do this? What do you do?
I mean, they not gonna never get a chance to do this anymore, cause I know how stuff is, and if y'all was to fight it in y'all heart to release me again, I'm getting 2 jobs, I'm getting 2 jobs and doing better. I got 2 babies now, and I got a newborn baby. I gotta be there for him in each and every way, and be there for my 10-year-old daughter. Like, I can't afford to be having this going on. Cause I ain't hurting. I'm hurting, but at the end of the day, I'm hurting the people that really love me, which is my children.
Right. I need an executive session. I have a motion.
I second.
Sarah Renowski?
Yes.
Danny Lamoureux?
Yes.
Chucky Tootley?
Yes.
Mr. Veal, we're going to be in executive session for just a few moments to discuss confidential matters.
They don't take executive session unless they consider.
All right, we're back in regular session. It's 11:53, and could you call the roll?
Chair Renata,
Here.
Danny Barros,
Here.
Chucky Tillett.
Here.
All right. We have, before we proceed, Mr. Veal, we have some more questions from Ms. Williams. Mr. Byra has some questions, Ms. Williams.
Ms. Williams, you're telling us that you're not worried about him, you recommending him to be released?
Yes, sir.
You are? And you assure us you're not scared of him at all?
No, sir.
Cares, no fears? And you're not being forced to say this today or paid?
No, it's my decision.
Okay, so basically, with that being said, some stuff you told the police wasn't quite true. Because what he did tell you would have made you scared. Just want to make sure that you realize how serious it is about not making up stories for the police and cause all kinds of trouble for him and for you. So
Well, I never made up a story.
Well,
They're making it seem like he broke in. He didn't break in. That's what I was explaining.
because he came in with a key that you dropped outside.
Yes.
Yeah, well, he didn't have permission to come through the door, so that is a crime. But neither here nor there, we're not trying to go back there. I'm just wanting to make sure that your recommendation is to release him and that you're positively not fearful or scared of him in any way. And he's never done anything to harm you that would lead you to believe you need to be scared.
No, sir.
All right, then we can vote.
What is the status of the relationship between the two of you? Your relationship is active? Did you hear me, Ms. Williams?
They muted me back. What was the question?
What is your relationship with Mr. Veal now? Are y'all in an active romantic relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Veal?
Yes, ma'am.
No, you're on parole and you're a third felony offender. Have you ever been on supervision before?
Not that I know of. This is my first time being on all this, ma'am.
Well, you're a third felony offender. And when you left jail, you signed a piece of paper agreeing to all the conditions of your supervision. And, you know, parole is just it's a privilege. And we hold you kind of to a higher standard to be sure you can follow the rules, the conditions of your parole, as well as the conditions of, you know, the rules of society. Can't afford to mess up. You got to make decisions. You got to be careful about who you hang around with. So I'm you know, I believe something happened, but I'm willing to give you a chance and not revoke your parole, return you back to supervision. I would add special conditions of your supervision in addition to your regular conditions that you signed for. We're going to add some special conditions. One is that you obtain a mental health evaluation. Your parole officer can help you with all this. You get a mental health evaluation and you do everything they tell you that you got to do in terms of treatment. If they say you need treatment.
Yes, ma'am.
You are to enroll in an anger management program, enroll and complete an anger management program. We're going to put you on electronic monitoring. The state's going to pay for it, but you're going to have a monitor. And you'll have a curfew from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And the only exception for that is if you're at work and that's with the knowledge of your parole officer.
Yes, ma'am.
Understand all that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, Mr. Tillis.
I concur with Ms. Renata.
Mr. Byra.
And I'm going to concur with Ms. Renata also with the same special conditions.
All right, Mr. Veal, we don't want to see you again.
Yes,
like
ma'am.
this.
Won't.
Okay, good luck to you, sir. All right, that concludes our business in East Baton Rouge. We're going to sign off at 11:58. Thank you, Captain Miles.
You're welcome. You all have a great day.
All right, good afternoon. The Committee on Parole's reconvening. We're at Raymond LaBorde Correctional Center on Thursday, October 24th, 2024. It's 6 minutes after noon. My name is Cheryl Renatza, serving as chairman. Mr. BYRD is seated to my right. Mr. Tillis is seated to my left. We're at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. Would the staff at Raymond LaBorde please introduce yourself for the record?
Man, good morning, Mr. Renatza. Marcus Myers, Warden. Steve Orlon, Deputy Warden.
Raven Heath, classification. Melissa Joshua, records.
All right, thank you. We have, let me ask Mr. Warren to introduce himself for the record.
Warren Molini, 1971-75.
Melini?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Molini, you heard all the introductions, and I believe, is this a rehearing for you, I think?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
All right, so you're familiar with the process. Before we get started, I want to recognize we have a representative from the DA's office in Jefferson, Mr. Randall Meyer, who will ask him for his input at the appropriate time. First, let me read the identifying information into the record, for the record. So, Mr. Molini, you're classified as a fourth felony offender. You're currently serving a 20-year sentence as a habitual offender, simple burglary, and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. You were sentenced in March of 2008 in Jefferson Parish. Your parole eligibility date was January 13, 2013, and your good time date is January 19, 2027. Is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Molini, we want, you have the first opportunity to speak this morning. We have a little different format now, so we'd like you to tell us what led you to jail, what led you to prison, what did you do, and why should we vote favorably for you this afternoon?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. What brought me to prison is chemical dependency. I was a drug addict for years and years. I'm 7 years sober right now. Through the help of AA, NA, substance abuse programs that the Department of Corrections has offered, I've had great help and support. As the record says, burglary, I was stealing to support my addiction, and it made me a person that was unfavorable to society. And I was removed from the street as a habitual felon, rightfully, because I kept doing it over and over and over. And they finally gave me 20 years, which I deserved. If you would see my record, you see how bad I just stole. And then I'm taking classes now where I'm understanding the victims that are involved when you steal. And you can't rationalize it, because I've had problems in prison where I've had things taken from me, and I understand the sentimental value that's attached to things that may not have monetary value, but to someone else, they think it's monetary value, and then it's a loss, it's damaging. And that's what I've learned over all of these years. I've been incarcerated 17 years, and the system works because it makes you look at yourself, because you're around people who you find to be undesirable, people that you don't want to be around, but it's yourself you're looking at, because you've been repented to be with these type people, and you are these type people. And I've come to the realization of that. And then I'm going over my record of everything that I've done before in prison, and it's embarrassing to steal, to take from people unrightfully, and this is what I was doing. And I didn't care about the victims that I had. I was just laying a path of destruction that was hurting people. And now I'm taking classes now. I'm so glad, first and foremost, please let me tell you, this camp, this facility is fantastic. For a person that wants to help themselves, when you get to this facility, everything is available. And this is what's helped me. I've furthered my education like you wouldn't believe. Within 2 years, I've gotten 23 certifications. Vocational, through safety, welding, core, field safety, site supervision. I can go on and on, but I'm educating myself. And I'm replacing the addiction that I had. I hate to make this sound like this, but it's the truth. I'm replacing the addiction that I had with drugs, with bettering myself, educating myself, constantly staying in touch with what I can do to become a better person. I have daughters out there and they look up to me and I can't figure out why. Because I look at myself and I know I'm suffering from low self-esteem, but if you look at my criminal record, you'd see why. But the things that I did don't even make sense. You know, I was stealing from people and I feel so much guilt for this because some people, I remember one time I took a VHS camcorder and the people just wanted the camera, the footage back of their child taking their first steps. But to me, it was like just drugs and I didn't care. I remember throwing the tape up on the roof and it hurt me. So, you know, I'm at a point where, I don't like looking at myself, but you ask, you know, like why, you know, should y'all grant me parole? Why should I be released? It's hard because if I look at it realistically at what people do, I look at what I did before I came to prison and it hurts. Because I see a bad person. Even though I've tried to do all of the things I've accomplished, this I've set out everything I tried to do, I accomplished, and this is something new in my life. I've been clean for 7 years, no drugs, no alcohol. I even quit cigarettes at the same time. And this is astounding because I was a person that lacked self-esteem. And for me to just quit all of this and move on, I did it. First, I didn't use AA. But when I got to this facility, AA was made available to me. And it's helped me so much to be around people who feel like I feel. And I'm facilitating that now because I want to give back what people has given me, sobriety. And I don't have a residence that I'm going to back home because I don't want to go back home. It's a lady, Miss Linda, with Catholic Charities in Baton Rouge, who's holding a bed for me. And she has a job for me at Goodwill when I get out. Now, I accomplished welding while I was in here. I will eventually get a job welding, making good money. I knew this. But for right now, I think that I owe my community. She wants me to work with the AA and the NA with the Al-Anon program. It's a mentorship program. And I really want to work with that. I'm a musician. I play with the gospel here. I play music and I feel like it's a debt that I owe God, which is personal. This is something I'm sharing with y'all personal. All the sin that I've done. This is how I'm paying back God, is I play music in the church. And I think that when I get out, I can apply this to the church out there. Because there's people that I want to deal with, like Tappist. There's a guy here that has a dry phone, Louisiana. Okay, I'm sorry. I got so much that I need to do, and y'all ask why I need to get out. It's to build a relationship with my family and apologize to not only the community, but most importantly, my family. Thank y'all again for hearing me.
Well, I appreciate your energy and your enthusiasm. And I appreciate your complimentary remarks for that facility, Warden Myers. He really has done well at your place. So can you tell us anything about him?
I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot more I can tell you. He did a good job of speaking for himself, you know, and I wasn't fussing at him. I just knew he needed to wrap it up. We had a good interview last week, you know, when I interviewed all the guys before our hearings, and I believe he's sincere, and he's come to some self-realization. I think that's pretty obvious, and I'm impressed by that, and I'm proud of him for that. I think he finally sees the person that he was, and he's embarrassed, he's ashamed, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing, because we need to have those kind of feelings about ourselves at times. But as he said, he's a very large part of our AANA program here. He facilitates, which is that's a big deal. He helps out others with that. He hasn't had a disciplinary report in over 8 years. And I appreciate his honesty. I'm sure y'all recognize he said he's been sober for 7 years, and you all recognize that he's been locked up for 17. And we had this conversation the other day, and I appreciate the honesty in that. Because I always ask him, when's the last time you used? Don't tell me no on the streets. Be honest with me. And I believe he was honest. So You know, he had a problem when he came in. He had a problem too a few years ago, but 7 years clean is good. And I think that reflects in his conduct history. And the only recommendation I have is he is currently enrolled in our victim impact program. He'll complete that in just a few weeks. And so if the board does see fit to grant his parole, I would recommend that he complete that, obviously, prior to his release.
All right, thank you, sir.
Gordon, I got a question for you. What substance abuse programs has he taken while he's in there? I know he's doing NA and AA, but looking
He's
at the
taking-
list, I don't see like substance abuse 1 and 2 or anything like that.
Yes, sir. Living in Balance, the Living in Balance, phase 1, phase 2. You see those?
Yeah.
Those are substance abuse programs, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, could we hear from the DA's office, Mr. Meyer?
Yes, ma'am. Randall Meyer, Assistant DA, Jefferson Parish. I had written down before, I think he needs a long-term substance abuse treatment program. And as the warden said, I think the victim awareness would be good too. But one thing that bothers me is he said he's 7 years sober, but in the DV report that is in this record, doesn't have what I think is all of the reports that he's had, because in his, if you look at his the prior hearing note vote sheets in 2019, he was denied because of 6 or more disciplinary reports in the last 6 months. Those are not on the current disciplinary report in the record. And then at his 2021 hearing, he was denied because of a disciplinary report for drugs in 2020. So that doesn't quite jive with me with him saying he's sober for.
Mr. Meyer, I don't think that's accurate. I don't think you have the right. I have his master prison record right here, and that's you know, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just telling you that I believe you may have that mixed up with someone else.
Well, and I agree with you, Warden, because when I look at the DB report that's in his that I got in this record, it shows his last report was in 2016.
Correct. Yes, sir. That's correct.
But the prior hearings, unless those are wrong in this record,
that's got to be wrong.
Is the same guy, Warren MELINIE, and he had 6 disciplinary reports. He was denied in 2019 because of 6 reports, and in 2021 he had 1 for drugs in 2020. So that's
Gotta be, yeah, that's gonna be an error. Yeah, we'll have to look at that.
What if I said back in the last year? Yeah. Okay.
But you know that's you know, I will say it sounds like he's doing good. He's got an extensive record, but non-violent. So that's and it appears with all of his crimes that a lot, if not all of them, were drug alcohol related. So I do think he needs a long-term substance abuse treatment and that victim awareness before he's released. Thank you.
Yeah. No, that was there. All right, your case has been assigned to Mr. BYRD. Would you answer his questions?
Yes, ma'am. You did a good job of answering my questions before I asked them. But so I'm going to just simply put a couple of facts of the case on the record. And basically your case involves on June 9th, 07, you stole Michael Hale's van from the hospital parking lot and were found driving it 3 days later. And then on 1/12/08, the homeowner Jerry Cox went outside and smoked a cigarette and saw a stranger, which was you, in his shed with his cordless drill and other tools stacked up. He confronted you and you attempted to flee and a fight broke out. And the victim was able to hold you until police arrived. The victims in this case, one of them, Ms. Hale with the van, is deceased, so that nobody was able to contact any of her family regarding that. And Jerry Cox was contacted and said he'd leave it up to the parole board. So in this case, you really don't have much victim opposition. As you said, your record is not that great. I kind of summed it up. You were arrested 31 times for 67 offenses. 4 of those were crimes against the person. You had 6 periods of probation or parole already, and 3 of them got revoked. So you're 50-50 on that, which is not that great either. But aside from all that, you've been doing pretty good since all that. So congratulations on that. I don't have any questions.
Any questions, Mr. Tillis?
No, he elaborated very well. I'd like to, I think Warden, he alluded that you guys are doing a good job there, your staff. And if ever I need your services, I'd probably want to come there.
Well, I appreciate it, Mr. Tillis. We try to do our best. Great staff here.
Yeah, keep it up.
All right, I think we're prepared for that. Mr. BYRD?
Yeah. Mr. Melanie, I'm gonna go ahead and vote to grant you parole conditionally. I mean, Ms. Renata might have to reword it for me a bit. We would like to see you complete that victim impact program that you're doing right now while you're in there. And based on a recommendation from Mr. Myers, I would want to see you complete a DOC approved substance abuse program evaluation like Steve Hall or something like that prior to your release. Just to make sure we have all that covered and you have the best that we have to offer before you hit the streets again and get tempted. And then as special conditions, once you get out, to follow up with your reentry plan with the Catholic charities and to attend AA or NA 2 times a week.
So, thank you.
Mr. Tillis?
I concur with Mr. BYRD.
Mr. Melanie, I want to congratulate you on your 7 years sober. And I'm just real excited and enthused about myself, about your enthusiasm about your education and the things that you've accomplished. It's got to be a good feeling for you. And it shows. And that's your motivation to continue doing that. My vote is the same as my colleagues for the same reasons, to grant with the special conditions after you complete those programs. So good luck to you, sir.
Hey, I'm 7 weeks, so.
Mr. Meyer, thanks for pointing that out. I think that's an error in the record. That was probably the wrong name at the top of that form. That's back when we were doing all that manually. So we'll go back and correct it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but I was concerned because he was denied 2 hearings because of those reports that were listed that, again, we're not on that report, but just wanted to point that out. Thank y'all.
Thank you. We're going to sign off at Raymond LaBorde. It's 12:24. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. Have a good day.